I have a customer who works in life care and health or life sciences healthcare, specifically around optometry. And one of the things they did was when they developed their system, this is on Google Cloud, by the way, since we need to differentiate multi-cloud masters here. So what they did was they built a imaging solution, and they used persistent disk to do it because they wanted the speed, they wanted the growing capacity, they wanted the backup capability, and all of these other things. And all it was doing was storing the images to whenever you go to your optometrist office and the doctor says, well, hey, well, let's take a look at your images from last year. And they click on a button and you wait about 3 seconds. They wanted to cut that 3 seconds down to 1 second. So there's a couple of tiers to this that I wanted to actually address. The first is I don't think that when it was designed, they were meeting their customer where their customer is. They were actually just doing something because this is the fastest way to do it. This is the quote unquote bog standard way to do it. And they never thought outside the box of, do my customers, when they're sitting in that optometry chair, when they're sitting there with the doctor, does the difference between 2 seconds of image retrieval and 5 seconds or 10 seconds of image retrieval really matter? Now think back to the last time you were in your optometrist office and they were pulling up your imagery. I doubt anybody can say, I was so upset because I had to wait 11 seconds before the doctor could say, nope, looks just like last year. We have a condition where when the customer would go to the optometry office, they would get their imagery taken. That imagery would be then uploaded to the cloud to a persistent disk that was being backed up in Google Compute Engine. And then it would be maybe read again, never. Because these are optometry office specific customers. If you switch optometry offices and go to another one, like I moved, I don't go to the same one I used to go to, that image is never going to get pulled again. So what we have is a lot of junk images, a lot of old images, not junk, but a lot of older images that need to be kept for compliance reasons that are never being read again. I'm talking petabytes of persistent disk, huge amounts of money being spent. And all we did was go in and ask the question of, hey, do you need this fast? Why did you do this way? And it turns out, no, they didn't. And when we sat down and talked about it, they went back, we sat down, we talked about it, we discussed some of the outcomes and the options and the pluses and minuses, because there is some minuses. You're going to have to rework an entire stack. Images will be slower to retrieve. You're going to pay a ton up front for the put costs for all these images because of the operations and everything else. So we, just like Ian was talking about, we had to build out that timeline for the customer and say, hey, listen, yes, your next 3 months bill after you implement this will be larger as you shuffle all these images over, and you have to keep the persistent disk because the images aren't there yet. All the things that we know about as technical folks that happen when you do one of these big changes. At 3 months down the line, their bill for storage of their primary asset is cut by 40%. So now we can actually just schedule that out, and over the next year, it's going to pay for itself. So the whole point of all of that is simply, we often don't ask why, because why can be a triggering question for engineers, especially because they built it a certain way. And if you ask why, you are and we're not trying to do that. What we're trying to do is, are you working smarter or are you working harder? So we had to have a very careful conversation with them, but it was rewarding in the end because we were able to help. And overall, that's kind of my takeaways. It is always okay to ask why somebody is doing something a certain way, especially if you can see a way that they could save some money on it. Now, that path wasn't easy. It did cost money to do because they had to rework a software stack a little bit to do different API calls, and they had to train their engineers a little bit differently. But in the end, it was well worth it. And there's been no complaints moving forward. They moved all those petabytes over to cloud storage. They are more secure, more durable, and cheaper overall. Plus, they have the ability to move them. They have turned on Google's auto class storage. And so this image is just dropping down to archive. They're never being read again. Google's just moving them down for them. That in itself probably paid for a lot of this.
How did this come up? Was it storage prices creeping up and you're asking why are they creeping up and then peeling back the onion, or?
So that's a great question. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That was it.
So this actually came up when we onboarded the customer. When I took the customer over as a TAM, one of the things that I think all TAMs do is we kind of look and go, where are you spending money? And then I asked, the persistent disk was their largest spend. It actually beat their CP, it beat their actual VP, it beat their compute machine spend handily. So that was just a driver of a question of, guys, this is not how I normally see this. What is going on here and why are you doing this? And it turns out that they just have disks on disks on disks on disks and their backups. So it was a driver more like, this thing is not the way it should be. The issue is, and I think about this sometimes, that makes me ask more questions. If that would have looked normal on a graph when I looked at it, would I have addressed it as quickly? So I think sometimes it's just worthwhile asking the question of, hey, why are you doing this way? Or what is going on here? Tell me about your stack, about why you use each part of it.